My name is Robert Goodland, and I'm a tropical ecologist. I started my professional life in the Amazon part of Brazil, which I learnt to love. And then just recently they've started to devastate it, cutting it down using slave labor, much of it, burning it and then putting on cattle and burning even more to make huge monocultural fields of cattle feed. So feed and cattle are replacing the beautiful heterogeneous Amazon forest. Then I became the lead environmental advisor of the World Bank Group based in Washington, D.C., and I discovered that they also were financing the conversion of the tropical rainforest for cattle and feed. In fact, they financed the biggest soy producer in the world, Maggi, M-A-G-G-I, and the second largest beef exporter in the world, Burton, and the third largest beef exporter in the world, what was the name? Minerva Beef. So this is an ongoing problem. But through the years in the World Bank, I managed by a series of lectures, including by your friend Colin Campbell, who was a great help in those lectures, showing the error of investing lots of money in cutting down the forest and displacing the Indians and boosting greenhouse gas for a pittance of livestock, most of which went to China. I sensitized the World Bank that eventually they wrote a livestock strategy paper which advised against financing large-scale livestock projects, particularly in forested areas. And then, unfortunately, after a quarter century there, I retired, and it seems that they're going back to the bad ways, and bad ways of big dams as well as big cattle. One of the key papers that my collaborator, Jeff Anhang, and myself wrote explaining this problem, which you, sir, have read, and it was published by World Watch's chief in-house magazine. It's called, I think, World Watch. And it got extremely wide dissemination. Our main conclusion was, and this startled even us, the authors, we recalculated how much man-made greenhouse gas came from the livestock sector, the livestock chain, the whole chain from deforestation through forest burning, through raising cattle, through belching and farting, through slaughtering, and through collection of the sewage and treatment, the fertilizer, particularly nitrogenous fertilizer, and the NTO, nitrous dioxide, which is much more powerful than methane. We recalculated FAO's estimate and found that instead of being FAO's 18% estimate, we found it was nearer 51%, which is a huge difference. That 51% is the amount of anthropic greenhouse gas produced by the livestock sector. We scarcely have enough time, but we do have enough time if we act now. It's going to be a massive challenge of the order of Roosevelt's Marshall Plan to reconstruct war-torn Europe, if not bigger. And what we have to do in simple terms, the bottom line is we have to reduce livestock production. That would free up all of the cattle feed areas and all of the livestock areas to grow food for the expected 9–10 billion of us by the end of the century. And so that's very important. Otherwise, hunger will be really the worst problem, and hunger and environmental refugees. And second, so that will hugely reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emitted. In parallel with that, we have to plant more trees to sequester, that is, to suck carbon dioxide that's already in the atmosphere. And so this combination of forest regeneration, reforestation, rewilding, some people call it, plus less livestock, is, to us, that's the only pragmatic solution. The main solution that practically all of the world is focusing on at the moment is a rapid conversion of fossil fuel economy over to renewable energy, tidal, solar, wind. That is essential, but it's going to take a long time, far too long. According to James Hansen of NASA, IPCC and IEA, International Energy Authority, the first tipping point, probably massive flooding, will come maybe as soon as 2017, which to me is just round the corner. So we have very little time left to get our act together and do a massive emergency mobilization of reforestation and reduction in livestock. As individuals, we don't particularly like evangelization, but we have to get out and convert our neighbors, our friends, our family, our schools, the army, the church, and anyone who will listen, that this is the immediate problem. If we get enough people, if the McDougall army is cloned and gets mobilized, then yes, we can do it, and we have to do it. There's no option. We must do this, otherwise we're going to be wiped out as a civilization.